sweetheart.
Got a new hire today. Her name's Susan Montgomery.
Oh, give me a break.
Can't teach an old dog new tricks.
I treat everybody the same, no matter where they come from.
Are you making fun of me?
I was just translating what you said.
Yeah, they should learn how to speak English.
Management will tell you that everybody gets along wonderfully. And that's the way it is here. They don't have racial problems and they don't have sexual harassment. But the truth of the matter is when you sit down with the individuals, you find it different. You'll find a different story. You'll find small little things that might bother them and might have bothered them for years.
Excuse me.
I said to myself, Randy, if you ever become a supervisor, a manager of people, the ways I was abused and not supported in my efforts because of insecurity, jealousy, discrimination, whatever it might have been, I didn't want myself to be in a position to perpetuate that, and I would do everything possible to be not like those people and to treat people fairly with respect.
One of the toughest problems is trying to integrate addressing people problems while you're busy running the business, so to speak. It's easy to try to separate those things. In reality, they are the same thing. As a supervisor, I am responsible for managing resources, and those are, equipment, and materials, and people. Of those, obviously, people make it happen. They have to be really the most important. They're also the toughest to work with. Emotions are involved, social aspects involved.
How'd you do Friday night? Friday night or Saturday morning?
We hire our workforce from the communities. So anyone that makes a statement that there are no problems on the shop floor are not dealing in reality, okay? Because society has those problems. Employees come from society, okay? So they bring to the workforce all of those issues that they experience in the community.
Supervisors need to stand up and say there are differences here. We recognize them as such, but let's get beyond that, get the job done.
And you as a supervisor have to take a strong role in that to get those people to talking to one another. And you're almost playing psychologists in there and a whole lot of other functions you're picking up.
Hey, where's Kincaid? Hey, that's Mr. Kincaid to you.
Big boss, man. Hey, give him a break. John will be cool. Don't count on it. Guy moves up, gets an attitude.
Hey, man, John's one of us. He was one of us. Hey, tighten it up. Here comes the man. Hey, good morning, Mr. Kincaid. Good morning, Mr. Kincaid.
Nice tie, John. Real nice.
I didn't know you had one.
Hey, congratulations, John.
Okay, couple announcements. There's going to be a memo in your pay vouchers about a new pension fund option. Read it. You got questions? Take them to the rep, not me. A softball roster sheet will be posted this week in the break room. All interested parties should sign up, especially lefties.
Yeah.
And finally, we got a new hire today. Her name's Susan Montgomery.
Give me a break. No way.
All right, all right. Hey, that'll change things around here.
Enough.
Come on. What are you, crazy, a chick? In here? What are you, nuts?
The lady's got credentials. She's worked on the line at the Omaha plant for 3 years now, and her record's solid. I expect you guys to treat her with respect. That means no cracks, no cheap shots.
Come on, John.
Nice speech, John.
Look, there's plants closing down the street. We got a job to do. We're a team. If she can't cut it, that's my problem, and I'll take care of it. Is that clear?
Don't worry, Johnny. We'll break her in.
Gentlemen, this is a legitimate personnel transfer.
Yeah.
I don't pretend it's not something different, but you guys are pros, and I expect you to act accordingly. Any questions?
Yeah, she got a nice body.
I don't know, and you don't care. Let's get to work.
Well, let's go check it out. Huh?
People say, I didn't mean anything by it. That's just Joe talking. That may have worked in the good old boy network. It doesn't work today. These things need to be addressed.
Well, when I get the response, I didn't mean anything by it. They obviously haven't really thought about how what they said was received.
Check it out.
Nice.
Howdy. Nice jeans.
Hello, sweetheart.
Hey, baby, how you doing?
I meant what I said. You got a problem, Murphy?
What? You gonna bust me for looking?
Come here. Susan Montgomery?
Right.
I'm John Kincaid, your supervisor. Very glad to have you here.
Thanks, John. Glad to be here.
This is Ben Murphy. He's been here longer than anyone. Count on him for help.
Thanks, hi, Ben.
He'll give you the nickel tour and get you started. I'm down there on the floor.
So how long you been here?
Forever. You're from Omaha, huh?
Right.
Anyone tell you that the installation standards are different for California?
Okay, people. While you're gawking, Megatech's beating their quotas in our butts. Let's go.
We encourage people to understand what the goal is, and the goal of valuing differences is productivity. Valuing differences is about productivity. We know that people have to share events and share their differences in order to build the kind of environment that will support productivity, that will encourage productivity.
As a result of a very dynamic, changing environment, there are new skills that are required of employees and managers alike. Many of these new skills have not even been defined yet, but we just know that the type of individual who will succeed in the future will not be exactly the same as the individuals who have succeeded in the past. We need to work in teams more. We need to respond to a very fast-changing marketplace and a very diverse customer base. People need to start fostering harmony among their workers.
Governmental agencies, private industries, schools, educational institutions. Really doesn't matter wherever you are in the workforce. Whenever you work with people, you have to be sensitive and concerned about these issues.
And we all have strengths and we all have weaknesses, and the only way we can get ahead as a company is for everybody to mesh all those strengths together from all those individuals, and that just builds the whole company and makes the whole company strong.
Now, realizing that your primary function is to get things done through people, then you should focus on doing the things that are necessary for people to get their jobs done.
There are going to be obstacles to overcome, and it may take individual counseling, it may take some group sessions and some training in order to progress. And I think a supervisor also has to understand that this won't come, like overnight. It's going to be an evolutionary process.
Yo ya tengo 5 años y no me pagan casa nada.
Yo gano 5.25 desde la última vez que nos levantaron 5 centavos más.
Luis! You can't leave this like this. Someone could get killed. God. Why don't you come over here and get some of this wax off?
Dice Barry que el piso está demasiado resbaloso, la tenemos que pulir menos. Que es muy peligroso y alguien se va a caer.
Hey, Luis. Are you making fun of me?
No.
No? Then why are they laughing?
They're embarrassed because their work isn't good.
What did you really say to them?
I told them the floor was slippery. We had to do it again. I was just translating what you said.
Yeah, well, why don't you tell them that they should learn how to speak English?
Well, there are no angels in the situation. The Hispanic guys were laughing, and they were speaking in Spanish, which created more suspicion. And the other guy really overreacted. The situation here really calls for some kind of conflict resolution.
First thing you have to do is calm things down, get it down to a point where they're ready to talk, ready to discuss the problem. They may not be ready to cooperate at that point. They still may have these feelings, but then you get them to talking. It may be right there on the scene, and it may be that you have to pull them away from that scene and go to a quiet place and discuss things. And you may have to do it more than once.
Usually when there are lots of issues, lots of complaints, and, quote, bickering occurring in the workplace, that means that there are issues that are not being addressed. That means that we're not really listening to understand what those issues are. And it's been my experience that the issues have not been major blockbusters that cannot be resolved.
I'm sorry that the first time I hear about this isn't a formal complaint. I wish you guys would talk to me before things get this serious.
You're gonna take their side, aren't you?
Barry, just tell Luis what's bothering you. Then I want you to listen to his point of view.
Well, let me tell you something. They're always talking Spanish. They should know.
Hold on, Barry. Just tell us what happened from your point of view.
All right. Well, I come in early in the morning, and I'm doing my job. I'm being nice. I'm being amiable. And then all of a sudden, somebody doesn't do their job. Somebody. Was it you, Luis? You put too much wax on the floor. I slip. And so I get hurt. I hurt my elbow and my neck. Do I report it? No. Do I say anything? No. And then all I asked was, what? You got to change this. And then they start talking in Spanish. Then they start laughing at me.
We're not laughing
You're
at
laughing.
Hey, hold on.
We're not laughing at you. You start yelling at me. You asked me to do you a favor and translate for you. So I translate. Okay? And then you still yell at me for I don't know what reason.
You weren't laughing at me?
If language isn't the problem, it's something else. The supervisor has to help people express themselves, listen to the other side, and propose solutions.
When someone comes to me with a complaint about another employee, the first thing obviously I need to do is listen to what they're saying. Maybe ask some questions. Try to find out if their complaint is about a behavior or about some idea that they have about this person's stereotype.
So, Luis, if I hear you right, you have to speak to them in Spanish or they won't understand you. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
And Barry, when you don't know what they're saying, think they're doing it so that you can't understand them. Maybe you don't trust them. Maybe you feel excluded.
Right.
Let's see if we can think of some ways to resolve this.
That doesn't have to be Spanish. It could be any language. When you feel left out, you even wonder whether maybe you're being talked about. In fairness, I think we can all agree that rarely is someone else being talked about. But it's not an unnatural defense mechanism. And language minorities, such as Hispanic or Chinese or Korean or Vietnamese, might want to be aware of that syndrome also.
As long as a person is a stranger to you, that's the way they're going to stay a stranger to you unless you get to know them.
Get to know the people you work with, get to know the cultural differences, and don't look at them as an obstacle or a barrier, but to look at them as something to celebrate and something to value.
Again, it gets back to get to know the individual person as a human being and let them tell you their story, which will encompass their culture and their religion and their values in time, and then address them as an individual human being sensitive to their background.
You have to be aware of it so that you can identify it. And I feel that too many of us as supervisors are not aware of the cultural differences and race differences.
Fine, I corrected circuit D.
Oh, excuse me. Kathy, here's this part again. Let me show you what I mean.
I know. Don't tell me. May, I told you last week this isn't a defect. It's coded wrong. I asked you if you understood, and you said yes.
Kathy, there's a couple of other things we need to discuss, okay?
Okay. I'll talk to you later. You know, she's such a good worker, but sometimes I feel that she pretends not to understand on purpose.
Why would she do that?
It's like she wants to spite me.
Kathy, May probably feels really bad about what just happened. In her culture, like mine, and like in a lot of other cultures, it's very shameful to make a mistake, and especially to be reprimanded in front of other people.
To supervise a group of employees that are culturally diverse is to first realize that not everybody can be treated identically. To come to an awareness of what some of the differences are and to respond in the appropriate ways.
Now, she has to have real feedback, but at the same time, you have to be sensitive to their feelings. I mean, everybody's different.
I treat everybody the same, no matter where they come from.
You can't consider all employees the same. They're equal, but they're not the same. Each individual has their own background.
We're all allowed blunders, and those things are also opportunities to learn.
What's the matter, May?
You can fire me. I will leave today.
What? Why?
Not happy with my work.
Well, why do you say that? What did I say? What did I say?
You said you was coded wrong.
Well, yeah, it was. But it's okay. I mean, everybody makes mistakes.
You said you was wrong.
Come on, it's no big deal.
In front of Mr. Young?
Well, yeah, he was there. So what?
I feel terrible.
May, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that to you in front of him. I didn't realize. Come on, let's go have some coffee. You mean to tell me all this time you've been getting Nye to translate and you speak English just fine?
Well, sometimes you talk too fast.
Well, why didn't you ever tell me?
How could I? You're my boss.
Oh, that reminds me. You know that time that you and I refused to work in the clean room with Marcia and Janet?
Mm-hmm.
What was that all about?
Well, Marcia and Janet are very nice. But,
Yes?
But they talk about the things, you know, embarrass me.
Like what?
Husbands and sex.
Oh, yeah. You know, they said that you and I never joined in on the conversation, that you just kept to yourselves. In your country, don't you talk about these things?
Not in public.
Well, one way to handle that in this place is to say nicely, something like this.
The supervisor is the critical linking agent between the organization and the effectiveness of the team. What a supervisor does, it's very important to not only the success of the employee, but to the success of the organization. In order to manage a diverse work team well, a supervisor has to first get to know the employees as individuals, spend some time with each individual, get some information on that person's cultural heritage, exposure, education, ability to listen. All these are important competencies to a supervisor's repertoire of skills.
As a supervisor, I see myself as sort of a coach, and I want to be seen in that light by the people that report to me. I'm there to help them be successful. I'm not there to find their faults. I'm there to minimize their faults and there to maximize their strengths. To make sure that my instructions are understood, probably the best way is to just have the person demonstrate the activity to you and translate it into action.
They're starting today. Yeah, 2 of them. Well, I don't want to hear it, okay? Well, I'll get back to you. Reginald Johnson.
Just call me Reggie.
Okay, Reggie. Well, let's get you set up. Okay, don't forget to set your feed. Check your speed. And bring it down slowly. Don't make sure the coolant's on. Takes practice. Try it again. Check your speed. And bring it down. Slowly. Try it again.
Hey. Go over this way.
Sasheen White Cloud. Hey, Vinny, hang in here a minute, will you? Take Reggie through it again. I'll be back. Okay.
Sometimes we don't feel comfortable with one another. And as a result, information isn't disseminated. They're subconsciously withholding information because they don't feel comfortable working with that individual. We need to make sure that everybody gets the same training as everyone else.
Okay, Sasheen, you see this thing here? You make sure there's a little play in it. Then you set this gizmo, then you adjust this thing, and you bring it down slow. You follow that?
Yeah, I think so.
It's really pretty simple.
It's been my experience that when people fail, it's because we as supervisors did not do our job in helping the person to adapt to a new environment. So when a person fails, it's not a strike against that individual. I feel it's a strike against us because we perhaps did not do everything that we needed to do to assure that that person can be successful.
Got to make sure that both clamps are tight. The one that holds the triangular vise and the one that holds the material.
Yeah, okay. I'll watch it.
And another thing you ought to know about the way things really work here. If you want to do well here, the key is to never really get...
Hey! Whoa!
What the hell happened?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
You got any idea how much one of these babies costs?
Well, what happens, it basically gives diversity a black eye because the co-workers of that particular individual or even subordinate individual say, well, you know, here we go, diversity again, and look what happened. They basically have put an individual in there that hasn't done the job, and yeah, we're screwed.
Hank, I'm really sorry about that screw up.
It's okay.
It won't happen again.
Sure, don't worry about it.
Well, what I really wanted to talk to you about was,
It's okay.
it won't happen again.
Really? It's okay.
Really?
Sure. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
What could I say?
In fact, then you've taken 2 steps backwards because now the male is sitting there saying, see, I told you so. You know, it's not a diverse candidate in the sense that we're promoting diversity from a minority or female standpoint, but how about a Southerner going to the North, as an example? You bring a guy in from the South and he's not trained, he's not prepared, and you throw him to the lines and he fails miserably. The next Southerner that comes along has the same problem. Stereotyping is human nature. And we've done it all of our lives.
We all have to fight those stereotypes. We've got to look within ourselves and realize that we've got to give everybody a chance, not just make those assumptions and work by them and live with them.
Those types of things are lurking in the background, latent, just waiting to pop up at the most inopportune time when you're, say, in the middle of an important project.
And get that back to me by 4.
So is this a chore or a promotion?
Well, I'll call it a trial. If he does well, we'll see.
Or she?
What?
Never mind. I'll pick someone.
Okay, thanks. We'll talk.
Late again. He'll never get it together. Catch up on those scores, boys. More baby talk. I wish they'd get back to work. Can't teach an old dog new tricks. Anyway, he'll be retiring soon. Too shy. This job will take some gumption. Too fragile. We need someone with stamina.
Morning, Ann. Today is the day. We are gonna nail it.
Hey, I've got a project for you if you're interested. Could mean a promotion.
Well, you have to always monitor your own behaviors. You have to be aware of your blinders, the blind spots that you are conditioned into having when you're dealing with someone that you're unfamiliar with.
Diversity, by definition, is also difficult to manage. because you cannot go on instinctive reflexes. You need to be more conscious of why people may behave in certain ways without devolving into the level of stereotype.
Often when we see someone who's different from ourselves, a radio goes off in our minds, blasting us with the assumptions. Late again. He'll never get it together. Catch up on those scores, boys. Baby, I wish they'd get back to work. Can't teach an old dog. Anyway, he'll be retiring soon. Too shy. Too fragile. This job will take gumption. We need someone with stamina.
I look at what the individual strengths and weaknesses are, not what I assume they can and can't do, what I assume they like and don't like, because the minute you do, you're in for a big surprise.
They're all done? Good going, man. We gotta get the second notices out. Those are the files. Oh, hi, Ann. The computer was down, but Wayne fixed it.
Oh, good.
And we got the first notices out.
Good.
Well, technically that's the standard, but there's another code. Here, I'll show you. There's a new ruling here that applies in a case like this. It depends on the exceptions.
Yes, I'm chair of that committee. Leadership and Innovation Award? Well, thank you very much.
Oh, Ann, I'm ready for that computer now. You didn't know I've been learning database, did you?
Hey, what's that?
What's what?
Oh, sorry, the statue on your desk.
Oh, that's my trophy. I ran the marathon Sunday.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Overslept. What it takes to manage a diverse workforce are essentially the same things it takes just to be a good supervisor.
Why not ask someone, what is it that motivates you? What is it that you find important? How would you like to be treated? What works best with you?
There are some things that aren't okay that I don't really bring up and I just try and live with. But like being patted on the head, for instance.
I had a situation once where when I first started working, I had a supervisor to mistake me for another black male that was in the work group. I tried to convince him that you have the wrong person. And for some reason, that person just considered that was me, you know.
In my heart, I knew that I wanted to be a manager, that I work best with individual people and groups of people rather than with numbers. Yet, what I was told was going to be your only opportunity for promotion. And they interpreted for me what I felt were my strengths and my abilities. And theirs was based on a stereotype, i.e., all Asians are analytical and good with numbers. Even though I said, look, I had a D in advanced algebra in my junior year in high school.
I was at a standard restaurant, and the waitress asked my date what she wanted, and then she asked my date, well, what would he like? And my friend turned to her and said, well, he can speak for himself. It was just a misconception that because I couldn't see, probably I wouldn't hear very well.
There is going to be a definite shift in the composition of available people to make up the workforce. That means that you will have more minorities, more females, more immigrants making up that workforce. And if you don't start attracting talented people from that pool into your workplace, then you're going to have a very difficult time in the year 2000 trying to attract them to come and join your corporation.
Valuing differences in a certain kind of way is about change, and it's about the change an individual goes through.
A quick fix thing, going to a one-day seminar and thinking you know everything about everybody else is never going to work, because it's a long-term process in which your daily behavior and actions with others will have to reflect your attitude or your change in attitude, your awareness levels. If you're more aware that things should be done another way, you have to start doing it another way. Otherwise, it means nothing.
Valuing diversity is a journey. And whether we know it or not, each of us is on this journey. We are always, as we are living and growing and developing, understanding and moving to different places in our lives. In a sense, valuing differences is the work of empowering people was the personal development work of empowering people by focusing on their differences and getting comfortable with their differences and all of their differences.